listening to the Created to Create show.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Created to Create show. I'm your host, Ben Gluntz. This is Creative Flow, where we tried our best to get into creative flow. Let's get straight into it because we don't have a whole lot of time to waste. We all got things to do, places to be. I know I do. I know you guys do as well. I want to show you guys a video project I actually recently worked on. Here it is in 3, 2, 1.
When bold ideas ignite, impact is immediate. Dust, speed, adrenaline. This is where innovation is raw.
Demons came up when I crossed the devil. Soldier of God, how they got the memo. I pull out the lap and I drop the metal and stomp on the pedal like daunting. Right, it was stuck.
But beyond the roar, there's a pulse. The humans behind the wheel. Every idea that leaves a mark is driven by a soul. It's not just what we do, it's who we are. Ideas inspire the world, but it's the people that move it forward.
Dude, what an incredible time out in the desert that was. Just shooting with friends, shooting with the Red Bull team, just being able to capture the incredible racers, Christopher Povarde, Mitch Gruthy. They rip. Let me tell you, they rip. There was this one shot really quick where I was standing in the middle of this dirt road, had two separate sections, and they just come flying past me because I'm not on the long lens. I'm locked in getting this slow motion shot. And they just come flying past me at about 80 miles an hour over just big old dirt divots. And to be honest, it scared me a lot. I might have peed my pants. Not gonna lie. No shame. It was crazy, but such a rush and such a cool project to work on. Why did I show you that? Long story short, I have two incredible friends. They happen to be married, Sarah and Josiah. They host this really cool thing out here in Los Angeles called Creative Night. It happens about once a month, and it's essentially a night where people get to come together, they get to commune with each other, hang out, and they get to share their work, their creative work. You know, music artists, filmmakers, photographers, poets even. Anyway, long story short, they hosted this event this past weekend with Red Bull, and they challenged people to create a video, a film specifically, that answered the prompt, what are some ideas that make an impact? And so I start getting to work. I start trying to write this script, and I just start really reflecting on this one concept that, yeah, all these ideas are really cool, but it's actually the people who have the ideas, and it's the human connection and relation that actually brings those ideas out of us. When we talk, when we collaborate with each other. And that last line really hit me in the film. If you remember just now, it says ideas inspire the world, but it's the people that behind those ideas, it's the people that keep it going, that keep pushing forward. And that really this stuck with me because we give meaning to the work that we create. And camaraderie is what we as human beings are built for. Ever since the dawn of time, we've been creatures of community. When push comes to shove, all we desire is really to relate with other people. You know, the act of creating with each other just brings us so much joy. We get to collaborate, like I said, we get to really problem solve with each other. And it started to hit me that yes, this video specifically is cool, right? Like I edited it. I was able to like put my own little creative spin on it. But in reality, whenever I watch that video, I don't necessarily think of the time where I'm sitting behind the screen by myself, you know, tapping away and kind of creating that sequence. I think about the moments in the desert when we're running around trying to problem solve, trying to work through the shot list that we have, when we only really have a few hours before the sun goes down, and there's cross traffic happening of so many other off-road vehicles, and we're trying to manage so many different things, and it's just a team of 20 plus people working together on a common goal to create something unique and something cool. And those are the memories that pop up for me. And so when I started thinking about that, it just really, really started to hit me. Like most of the time, the finished product is pretty unique and pretty cool, but it's always the people that we're creating with. Even with AI like entering the space, I've kind of noticed a lot of my friends who have jumped really hardcore into AI. They spend a lot of their time just behind the computer screen, prompting, refining, and they get to create some really, really cool stuff, just like me sitting behind the screen editing. But at the end of the day, we're kind of forced to understand that one way of creating is more meaningful than the other because of the process of collaboration. And it doesn't mean that it's bad to sit by yourself and think and tinker and create, but it does mean that human relation at the core, at its foundation, is what we're made for, and where some of the most beautiful pieces of art come. You think about Christopher Nolan and his movies and how he directs films. His films wouldn't be the same without Hans Zimmer and his ability to listen to Christopher Nolan's story and his direction and then create this unique piece of musical art to not only accompany the feature film, but to elevate it into something that is just beyond what anybody else could have imagined it being. Interstellar, one of my favorite movies, a lot of you as well. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. A lot of critics would say. And you just think about that collaboration and it just blows your mind. Like you sit there, you watch the film and you are brought to tears because of the story of love that's on display and the way that the music and the visuals and the acting work together to make that film. Now, to get to what we're actually here to talk about today, as heartwarming and fulfilling as all of that sounds, we still have to face the reality of human connection, which is hard. It's scary, humbling. It's hard to build genuine, authentic connections with people. I think we can all agree that, like everybody has some level of social anxiety that you have to get past, whether it's just, that first time that you met one of your best friends and you remembering how there was maybe a moment of awkwardness before you cracked a joke with each other and laughed. Or if you are a creative and you're going to a film event and you have to network with people and it's like your heart starts beating fast because you're like, oh, I don't even know who to talk to first. Like, are people gonna accept me for who I am? Like, do I have to put on a face? All these thoughts that go through our mind that complicate the simple art of human connection. And to be honest, if we're being really honest, in the creative world, it can be a really daunting task to try to find productive professional relationships that push you in the right ways and grow you as a creative. But to be honest, it's really hard to find genuine friendships that support your raw journey as a creative artist. And I think while most creative people would pride themselves on, being inclusive and being genuine and creating uplifting environments, the reality of most people is that creative groups can be very hard to break into. Much like high school, like cliques and squads form pretty easily. And sometimes without the people in those cliques and in those squads even realizing that they've closed off the people around them. And so, yeah, it can be very hard to kind of break into that and understand, like, how can I bring what I know I'm valuable as a creative, as a person, as a human, into certain groups and certain rooms, and how can I come into a room and leave it better than I found it? It's just hard. It's just difficult. And there are two things that I would say cliques and squads and that kind of group mentality, closed off group mentality can lead to. One of them is static growth by the people inside. I think the people that are inside, when they create that bubble atmosphere where like everybody's kind of closed off to other people around them and they're just like, oh yeah, like we're in it together. It creates camaraderie, it does in the beginning. But if it is that bubble atmosphere, nobody ever necessarily faces good critical feedback. And I think that can be a problem for creative growth. I think that can be a problem for just finding out ways that we can be better as creatives. And then there's a lack of collaboration between different levels of artistry and creativity that happens because, this group is closed off, this group is closed off. Maybe there's a little floaters, but it just causes, collaborative starvation. It just means missed opportunities for incredible art and unique thought to take place. So how do we combat this then? Like, how do we fix this, right? How as creative people, how do we walk into a room and how do we leave it better than we found it? There are a few things that I've come to find out that kind of help me. They help me have better relationships with people, have better creative collaborations with people, whether it's a client or whether it's friends or an event like Creative Night that Sarah and Josiah put on, where there's just a lot of creative individuals in one room and there's a lot of collaboration and conversation happening. The first thing to do is just to keep your head on a swivel in social places like Creative Night. You never know who you're going to run into. You never know what kind of conversation you're going to have. And even just the possible collaborative, creative conversations, the possibilities for collaboration around the corner. The second is just be confident, but also stay humble. I think it's really important to understand your importance and relevance as a creative, as an artist, but also take notice that you aren't the brightest in the room always. You aren't the most creative in the room, most likely. I know I'm not. Whenever I go into rooms, oh my goodness, people are so talented around me. And it's actually a joy to walk into a room and understand that, because then I just get to ask questions and I get to wonder, what's this person working on and how long did it take them to work on that? And what strategies did they use to work on this film or work on this poem or work on, this piece of art that they took 8 hours in their room painting and just like understanding where somebody else is coming from truly, truly helps. And that kind of bleeds into the next one, which is have childlike curiosity. Find joy in wondering about other people's skills, interests, livelihood. I think that's one of the coolest things that we can do. Bonus, be the first one to follow up after a conversation. The classic networking strategies is like, you're going to reach out to so many people. People are going to say no. You're going to get 100 no's and then you're going to get the right yes. Cliche, right? But in reality, when you think about, okay, if I talk to 5 people tonight, I could either be the one to sit and wait for maybe one of those 5 people to reach out to me, whether it's to grab coffee or to work on a creative project together, or you can take initiative and be the first one to reach out to all 5, resulting in a lot bigger chance of you connecting with someone, relating to them on a deeper level, and maybe even working with them or just hanging out and finding that you just found a friend for life. You just never know. Yeah, honestly, I think it's really important to just care for each other. And if you go into a room and you think, how can I serve the people in here and care for them the best? And how can I leave this room better than I found it? I think it's that genuine respect and care that's going to help you out the most. And to be honest, we just need more of that in the world anyway, whether you're a creative or whether you're in another field, engineering. I don't know. There's so many different things that we do in this world, so many different people. And And we just need more care and genuine love in the world. So if you are that, then it doesn't really matter if you run into cliques. It doesn't really matter if you run into a squad that's closed off to you or a group of people. You're going to have fun either way. You're going to have a joy-filled time either way. And you're just going to find the best things in the world and care for people. So, but anyway, enough of me talking. Let's get someone on the phone. Let's get a second opinion.
Mr. Lawrence.
Is this Tyler Rogers?
This is the only. But
What
probably
is
not,
up,
'cause my
dude?
name is far too common.
What, Tyler or Rogers?
Both. It's even worse when they're together.
Even worse. Nah, dude, I love your name. Dude, Tyler, do you have a few seconds? I'm on the show right now and I'm talking a lot about friendships and I have a specific question I want to ask you, but if you're busy, it's okay.
Oh, dude, are we live right now?
We are live.
Dude,
Well, sort of.
run it. Let's
Sort of
chat.
Okay, Tyler, talking about friendships, talking about human connection, the importance of it all. And I just wanted to call you because, one, you're a good friend and you care a lot about people in a very intentional way. And we've chatted before about just ways that you try to be intentional with people. And so my main question is, like, relationships are one of the most important things in life. I think you and I would both agree on that. And as a creative, I want to know how you've navigated building strong friendships.
Yeah, well, first of all, that is so sweet of you to think of me to call me and ask me this question.
Of course, dude, of course.
So I'm doing my best out here, like loving people. And I think especially this past year and as I've moved locations and settled down in California, relationships have been a core motive for all that. I honestly think it's just how we're designed. Extroverted, introverted, ambitious, or just a homebody. Like, I think we're all just wired for human connection.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I think it's a very foundational piece of the human experience. And then the question was, can you remind me of the question? As a creative, how do I see it as an important role?
How have you navigated? Because so I've been talking a little bit through the fact that in the creative world, there can be a lot of cliques and kind of squads that form unknowingly sometimes to the people that are even in them. And I just want to hear from you how you've navigated building like friendships with people and working relationships too, but more so just like building those creative friendships that help you grow as a person and as an artist. And I want to just know how you've navigated that. Because you've moved, to give context, like Tyler is someone who also has moved across the country as myself, right? He's a Midwest boy. We're both Midwest boys. And, through moving across the country and also traveling around a bit, but being in the creative scene, like how have you navigated that?
Yeah, and even to piggyback off that context a little bit, I was living overseas, and then I was kind of this. I'm very extroverted.
Yes, very.
I'm kind of both, but I honestly think what I do is I'm introverted, but I'm just extremely outgoing. But it comes off as at events and at high population areas where it's like, a bunch of friends that we know or like a group hangout, and then it brings out this energy in me. But I noticed that I was struggling to actually connect with people.
Interesting.
And so I think that's a big reason why I was in the travel space of, living overseas and involving myself in these transient areas. And I wanted to actually come back to California so that I can actually connect with people. That was a huge reason why I decided to have a home base and start to develop solid friendships like yourself and like Gabe and like David. And these other key characters that are evolving in my life. So how I've gone about navigating in the past was just kind of throwing myself into these outgoing situations and my issue was why I wasn't connecting with people was I wasn't opening up to people and being vulnerable to the point where I needed to be. Right. And it goes along with that law of reciprocity. I don't know if I'm saying that word right, but where people will reciprocate.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know,
we're going to leave it at that because I'm not going to do much better.
But even stuff like that, you know, just taking a risk and saying something off or silly. And it's like, you know, I mean, it's a small example, but that's the core of it. And then we could just laugh about it and bond over it. And I think I was really missing that vulnerability aspect to connecting to people. And then I do think that there's a second half to that coin of LA in specific, the creative group that we tend to be involved in, it just has a lot of people, and that's not specific to LA. That's not specific to creatives, but it's you're just involved with dozens and dozens of people and meeting new people all the time. So I've made it an extreme effort to really just hone in on, okay, well, if I have limited energy and time and thought throughout the day, it's smarter to devote that to some core people that I can create as like a ride or die micro community, if you will. So it's similar to that idea of the core 5 friends in your life,
right?
And building together, or similar, honestly, to like the idea of a family unit, where it's like you just keep the circle really tight, and then of course you get have friends outside of that, but like these are the core that we're going to build something together. Right. Being, you know, your foundation, your faith, your fitness and mental and all that, and start shaping your just how you view the world. So I think that in the combination of the vulnerability and limiting, or I guess channeling my energy to these smaller circles, those combined have really helped me just like navigate, honestly, like finding yourself and just being open and comfortable with like a good, solid community.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. There's a couple things that I want to touch on. The first is the vulnerability aspect, because I want to agree with you there and just echo that. I think that's the most important piece of developing the deep relationships. I think like before you hopped on, I was talking a little bit about, you know, just like in these social situations, like being in that room, you want to have like childlike curiosity, you want to be confident, but stay humble, that type of thing. But to take it a step deeper, I'm glad you took a step deeper. Being vulnerable, like I agree. It's such a crux and important aspect of building relationships, because if you're not vulnerable, why would someone else be vulnerable with you? Yeah. The second part, I want to follow up really quick on that, because you mentioned having your core 5, right? Like your core group of people that you're building with. And I would love if you're able to like expound. Okay, so what's like the difference between having a core group of people that you're building with and being a part of more of a closed off clique?
Okay, yeah.
Because that, I don't know, that just like, to me, that's such, it can, from the outside, it can seem like such a similar thing, but there's definitely clear differences.
Right. And I'm not going to pretend like I have it all fleshed out, because it is a relatively new thing
100%
for me to develop into and really start to formulate my thoughts on it.
Yep.
But off of the top, I would say for me, a clique carries more of, do I want to articulate this? A clique has more association between the people a part of it. And maybe that's more of an external thing. Yep. And a core 5, in my experience, has been more internal correlations, where me and you and Gabe and David, like we all want a genuinely healthy life, and we view and I mean, faith at its core, like we want to be married, we want to be godly leaders, and just men, like actual men, and we start to define that the same.
Yep.
And you can be vulnerable with each other. Instead of, I feel a click is kind of like, oh, if you start to mismatch with people, it starts to get a little,
You're
I don't
done.
know, cold shoulder
Yeah.
esque.
Yeah.
And again, this is more me exploring this idea because I've never actually thought about the difference. So I'm not saying that as fact. That's just kind of what came to mind.
No, I appreciate the honesty and openness and vulnerability. See what I did, guys? I don't have it fully fleshed out either, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I think that is a good thing to distinguish, because if you're not careful, you can get caught up in a group that acts more of like a cliquish squad that isn't necessarily focused on growth and creative feedback. And so I think it's just good to distinguish and be aware of and try to like flesh out for yourself what it looks like. Maybe that'll be another conversation we have someday. But I just wanted to beg the question because I think it's important to think about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so when it comes to relationships and friendships, what is one of the most important and key components that you've looked for as you've like navigated this and tried to find yourself in friendships that are building you up as a creative and as you said, like a man?
Yeah, I think that comes down to just core values. And I would say, I mean, we've personally talked off cam about just our faith walks and how they've lined up, but how we're kind of in this place of, it might not look, or at least maybe I'll speak for myself, it might not look how I thought it would when I was growing up in the church. And I'm wrestling, in certain key aspects, but finding those people that internally believe the same and are willing to sharpen each other's swords as we go. And so I think it comes down to character across the board. I mean, it's super general. And then what I would look for in character is authenticity. Which allows that space to be vulnerable with somebody. Because if somebody's fake, why would I be? It's kind of that concept of, I don't want to be vulnerable with somebody who's not, right? Yeah. So for me, authenticity, and then also I am pretty hell bent on growing. Maybe that was the right choice of words for growing faith, but growing in my faith.
Wait, did you say hell bent on growing faith?
See, which I think I kind of like that contrast.
No, I think it's funny.
Maybe that's a testament to where I'm at, and so it's like. But yeah, so like I want to take my spiritual health seriously, along with my mental health and physical health. You know, so it's like I think that foundationally, that's what I'm focused on, and becoming just a mature man and a leader. Of my friends, of people, and eventually like a husband. I think that's a lot of me and my core friends' goals.
100%. You're dead set on living life.
Yeah. Dead set on it, bro.
Dead set. I love the English language. It's so complex, dude. Oh, man. Oh, I love it, dude. Thanks for giving your insight. I really value it as a brother, as a friend, and I hope you guys do too. I mean, Tyler's an incredible person, and I think for me, it's just like cool to have friends on here to chat about this stuff. Just raw, authentic, to let you guys in. Like, obviously, I set this up with Tyler and like, hey, I think it'd be cool for you to talk about this. But I try to keep it as raw as I can, and keep the conversation as genuine as I can. So it's always cool to have people on. So I'm really appreciative that you wanted to hop on and chat with me about this. But yeah, I mean, key takeaway, search for authenticity and be authentic yourself, I believe, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the crux of a lot of it. But 100%. Yeah, bro. I mean, I really appreciate you like doing this. I mean, for context, I don't know if you told them what time it is, but it's like, what, 10:30 at night, and we have to wake up at 8 a.m. tomorrow, go on
We
a
do.
3-mile run, and then do a workout after? Like,
We do.
see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, brothers that push each other, you know? So,
We're on the grind. We're on
you're
the
talking
grind.
about how great I am, but it's like, bro, you're the one pushing me. Like, what are you talking about?
Stop it. Stop it. No, I love it. I mean, guys, I post this Monday mornings, but usually they're recorded either at night or even in the afternoon. You never know. It's different every week, you know. Depends on when my friends are available, and Tyler's usually up late. So that's why I'm doing it this late. No, but hey, Tyler, I appreciate you, and I'm excited for our run tomorrow. We work out together, guys. It's nothing big. Find someone to work out with, actually, honestly. Find people to work out with, because
it's so huge.
Lord knows working out clears my mind.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I would not be the same without it. All right, Tyler, I'm going to get back to it. I appreciate you, and we'll chat soon.
Let's go, brother. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Tyler is the man. I love what he said about authenticity and just being vulnerable. I think that is the key. And going deeper, relationship is just the ultimate form of creativity in my mind. Because building relationships takes sacrifice. It involves collaboration between two or more people, and it requires attention to detail and intentionality, which is a lot of crossover with artistry, creativity. And so the way I look at life is relationships are the foundation of everything. And that's why it was just like, I was so excited to talk about this today, because it really is the crux of living a fulfilled creative life, is the people that are around you. And not only, how are these people going to grow you, but how are you going to serve the people around you? And how are you going to put yourself in a position to be able to serve out of an overflowing cup, as the Bible talks about? And I think it begins with vulnerability, and it begins with vulnerability with God as well, with Jesus, on your knees, praying, asking for help to understand complex things in life, asking for strength to work through complex things in life. I don't know. That's the relationship that I lean on the most for my fulfillment, my purpose. And it's just super cool that gets to bleed into all my other relationships and my creative work as well. And I think that's the goal, right? Like, get closer to God, because your relationship with Jesus, oh gosh, it's life-changing. It's what bleeds into everything else, like I was saying. So relationships are important. I think that's the big one here. That's the big lesson. It's one thing to have connection with someone, but it's another to build a bond. And when you're able to humble yourself and build a bond with someone, that's where the special work takes place. That's where you get to create really, really cool things. You get to jump on incredible projects with other people, because you're not focused on what can I get out of this, but you're focused on, what can I give in this, in doing this? What can I serve? So that's a lesson for today. Come back next week and we'll talk about something different. Not even quite sure what we're going to talk about, because this is a day by day thing. I'm learning and growing. Hope you are too. If you learned something today, drop a comment below. Tell me you learned something. Tell me what you learned, and share it with a friend. Subscribe, comment, do all the things. It genuinely means so much to be able to just talk with you guys on a weekly basis. I don't know. It still blows my mind that people listen to this. Keep creating, guys. Keep having fun, and go tell someone you love them. How about that? Happy Monday. See you guys.
You're listening to the Created to Create show.